Welcome to Community with Closers. I'm your host, Pat Clark, and this is where closers are born. Get ready for high-energy stories, game-changing strategies, and the relentless pursuit of success. In each episode, we dissect the art of sealing the deal, celebrate triumphs, and explore the grit that defines salesmanship. This is the ultimate podcast for sales warriors ready to conquer the business battlefield. What's going on, guys? Pat Clark here again with another amazing episode for you guys tonight, right here on Community with Closers. Look, if you guys don't know the man, the myth, the legend that we're about to bring in, and you're in the exterior cleaning world, you got to come out from the rock that you're under, because my man, Nic Staton, has been crushing it commercially, live, his personal brand. So we want to dive in tonight with what's going on with my man, Nic. Let's bring him in. What's up, brother?
What's up? I appreciate you having me on here, man.
Yes, sir. Dude, I was like, I got to have Nic on, because I even got some of my own guys. They're like, dude, have you seen Nic's video? And I'm like, yeah, dude, his equipment is freaking on point.
Yes, sir. I'm all about high volume. A lot of people standing with those standard 8 gallons and stuff like that, and 5 and maybe 10s, but we've actually got up there over 34 and 37 gallons per truck.
Dang, dude. I remember, dude, when I had my pressure washing trailer and I Siamese both of mine together, I was like 16 gallons a minute, dude. I was like, oh, it's on. Yeah. You're over here freaking 34. You're like, that's nothing.
Yeah, I wash standard with 17 if I do any pressure washing off my truck.
That's awesome.
So it's like I have to send the other truck out to do a lot of the smaller stuff, because at the end of the day, try and pull 17 gallons out, it's a pain in the ass on residential. But when it comes to commercial, we fly straight through a lot of that. Yes. Unless I'm cleaning driveways or something, because I mean, I can go out and bust out a driveway with 17 gallons in like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
That's what I'm talking about. So we want to dive into that, because we're going to be talking about sales. We're going to be talking about, guys being more efficient, getting their average tickets up and stuff. And so I want to kind of dive in, man, to kick it off, because, some people don't know your background. And so, like, how'd you get into the exterior cleaning industry? Because I'm real passionate about the industry. I've been in the industry over 18 years, and right. It's so cool, man, to see, rising stars and people being unique to the industry. And I really think you are with your equipment and what you're doing with your personal brand. So, yeah, tell us a little bit how you got into this.
Back in 2011, 2012, I worked for an industrial pressure washing company. They did General Mills, Sherwin-Williams, places like that. We would show up and there would be paint 4 feet thick, 3 feet thick, and we're blasting through it with like 11,000, 30,000 PSI machines. Their machines cost anywhere from like $250,000 to $700,000. Dropping into silos and cleaning the inside of the silos, 125 feet tall.
Dang.
I never got to pressure wash. I never got to pressure wash, but I was pretty much the helper, and I saw all this happening, and I was like, man, I could do this shit myself.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing them just talk about residential pressure washing and things like that. So I ended up taking a check and going and buying a 4 gallon per minute that you just pull behind. I think I had 100 feet of hose, and then I ended up buying a big guy with the 4 gallon. It ended up working great. Every time I tell people that, they're like, you used a big guy with a 4 gallon per minute. And I think it's actually supposed to go with that. And then if you get up to like 8, it just works a lot better.
Yeah.
But I never used chemicals or any of that stuff.
Okay.
But I really didn't even start the actual pressure washing on my own until 2015, because I got in some trouble. Ended up getting locked up for drugs and stuff like that. So then when I got out of all of that, it was like I didn't know anything else. I've never really worked any other type of job. So I ended up starting pressure washing, and it kind of just took off a little bit. And then I ended up stopping again. I think it was 2016. So I pretty much had started for like a year and then kind of stopped a little bit. And then got into bucket trucks and ended up having guys traveling around doing storm chasing. except for I didn't know nothing about none of that industry. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even choose to learn anything about it. I just thought I just needed to buy these trucks and have these guys go out and run them. Well,
Yeah.
that business ended up sabotaging, and then in 2019, I had bought my house, and I had nothing going. And it was like, you got a house, you got a mortgage, and your mortgage is $2,800 a month. What the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah, you're like, I got to do something.
So I ended up going and buying a trailer. Got the trailer set up. It was just a hot box and 525-gallon buffer tank, and I think a water hose reel and a pressure hose reel.
Mm-hmm.
Got out and started advertising, kind of letting people know that I had the equipment that I could do it. We picked up a graffiti job, and that graffiti job that we did, I ended up posting on Facebook. A buddy of mine saw that, I had pressure washing stuff, and he was in the commercial industry building. And he was like, dude, come out here and give us a bid. We actually need some pressure washing done. Well, I went out there and I called my boss on the phone on FaceTime, and I was like, hey man, I was like, you see this parking lot? He was like, yeah. He was like, what you trying to do? I was like, I'm trying to wash this. I was like, can you help me bid it? And he was like, I'm gonna let you know where other people would be, like myself. I'm gonna kind of let you know that you might want to go just slightly under that, and they will probably lock you in, but later on turn around and adjust your prices once you get established with them.
Yeah.
So it ended up working, and we did a job. It was $3,500 that we got for that job. It took us 5 days to do.
Yeah.
I go back and look at that job now. That job would probably be upwards of 7,500 plus.
Yeah.
And it would probably only take us a day.
Yeah. So awesome to like think about that. You know what I mean? Like I remember washing our first house, dude. It took us like 8 hours, and like we had no idea, right? And it's just crazy to think about that. $7,500 a day, right?
Yep.
And the opportunity that's out there is endless, right?
Oh
like,
yeah, it's endless. I ain't even scratched the surface with those big bucks yet, man. I'm hitting some big ticket jobs, but I mean, honestly, I ain't even scratched the surface. There's a lot bigger tickets out there. It's just all in how much you want to chase and what you want to go after.
That's right.
But I've pretty much have scaled this every single year since I started in 2019 and 20, because that one commercial job ended up leading to $84,000 worth of jobs in 6 months. And a bell went off in my head and was like, this is where you need to be. But that following year, I thought I could just piggyback off that company and I would just be set. And I also had the mindset, because of the bucket truck stuff tanking, that I didn't want employees, that I would just do this myself. But at the end of the day, you just got a high paying job. And that's not really what I want, is a high paying job. I actually wanted to build a company. But that following year, I went out with them, and they had 9 jobs again that year, but I only landed 2. So then when I only landed 2, I was kind of scrapping around to find more work. I did 84,000 in the whole year, that second year. And I was like, there's something going wrong. I need to adjust here. Well, that's when I ended up finding a group called Apex, and I ended up joining that. And that's pretty much been a lot of help to me building my machine, is what we call it. And I've zoned in on my ideal and my avatar customer. And once I did that, I really started scaling. So the next year after that, I did 184,000. Then last year we did upwards of 240. This year, I want to say I've already closed over 300,000. Nice. And I don't run any ads. I don't do none of that. All my marketing is done by Facebook, LinkedIn, me just being consistent with building my machine and building up the audience. And as you see, I mean, I make videos and stuff like that all the time. So now I'm a content creator with Facebook, and they pay me to actually make videos and to post just regular posts or whatever, like just make up things, and they turn around and pay me for all of that.
Yep.
But by doing all of that, it's allowed my brand to get out there. So I literally spent the last 2 years building up brand awareness, because at the end of the day, if you don't have brand awareness, you can run these ads all you want, but those ads aren't really going to fire off without brand awareness. And if you can build that up and then get into the ads, then it's really, that's where a business really takes off.
Yes.
And that's where we're about to get to, is where we're about to crank up ads. And once we do that, we'll probably hit over $1 million in revenue.
Yes. And you're already building it. Like you said, it's a machine. So
that revenue is just going to constantly be feeding in, and it's going to constantly grow because you're always oiling those gears up and you're always going after that ideal customer and that avatar.
Yes. So I want to rewind a little bit, because people probably are on here and they're like, what? How are you doing those numbers? Right. And, when you break that mindset, right. And I talk about this a lot, is like, it's us. When we change, our businesses change, and then
Right.
that revenue, and it like trickles out. So when you joined Apex, right, your mindset. So I want to go back to that, because I'm a firm believer, like, you can do it yourself, you can beat the pavement, you can do it, right? It's going to be a longer road. So when you say you're like, in 2020 I hit it, I got into Apex, and we're 4 years in, and you're doing the revenue you're doing, right?
Right.
So let's reverse engineer that, because there's a lot of guys on there that, they might be stuck right now. They might be like, dude, I don't have that person. Like, I don't have that accountability.
Right.
So for you, like, when that mindset came in for Apex, what were some of the changes you think, or if you were to rewind and talk to your past self, what would that be?
Pretty much with my personal growth, because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
your personal brand is your actual brand. When you're out here selling, you're actually selling yourself. You're not selling a product. They don't give a shit about the product. They don't give a shit how it gets done. All they care about is if they like you and trust you, and if you're confident in what you're doing.
Yes.
So you've got to build all of that up first and foremost. If you can't have, your personal brand, then you're never really going to build up your business brand. But I mean, honestly, it was just being consistent, holding myself accountable, and understanding that nothing was going to happen overnight. And I'm not in this for overnight success. I'm in this for the long haul.
Yes.
And you have to think that way, and you have to just understand that when you're making posts and you're getting that brand awareness up, at first people aren't really going to see you. You're going to be in your head all the time thinking like, why am I doing this? But you just have to be consistent in whatever you're doing and build a system or a routine that you just stick to. And I mean, honestly, that's just kind of how I've really have just taken off, is just being consistent on everything that I do.
I love it, dude. I can't tell you how many. There's a book, right? Consistency is the new currency,
Yeah.
because that's the reality. Like, if you do things really well and you're not all over the place, because as entrepreneurs, we get pulled in different directions, right?
You
We're
get
like,
shiny objects syndrome a lot.
yeah, a lot. I know. I was like, stay in my lane, right?
I have to tell myself that all the time, because I mean, you see people posting shit all the time, and it's like,
Yeah.
you see something happen really good and they make a big chunk of money or whatever it is, and you're like, I've got to have that right now because I'm going to make that. And it's like, nah, it's not going to happen that way. And
That's
the
right.
best thing that how I can explain this is, when I bought this farm that I live on a 20-acre farm. I ended up buying goats. And when I bought the goats, I ended up going to these farmers and just thinking that I could copy them, and that whatever they're doing to these goats, I could bring them back and I could do the same thing. Well, what I found out real fast is those goats died.
Oh, man.
And a lot of them died. And I went through a process for a couple years where it was just goats were dying and there was nothing I could do. And I kept thinking in my head, what the hell's going on? Well, finally, I ended up building an actual system. So I have them where I rotate them on different lots. That helps with their parasites so that they don't get sick as much. It's not that they won't still. Then I have a chute that I take them into, and I turn around and I check them out. Well, I have to stay consistent with doing that. And if I don't, then my goats will start dying.
Sure.
Well, turn around and take that and put that into a business.
Yes.
And set your business up that same exact way, set your personal life up that same exact way, and have some accountability for yourself, and believe in yourself, believe in your brand. And if you don't, nobody else is ever going to.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's your vision. It's you that started this. So if you can't be the backbone to your actual brand, then how do you ever expect anybody else to believe into it and to want to come in and to help you grow it?
Man, that's good. That's really good. And you got to look at yourself and say, "What I work for me,"
Right.
right? And
Because I mean, who wants to come to work for an asshole or somebody that's just bossing somebody around? You got to lead by example. If you're not out there, doing the things that you're telling other people to do, then
yeah,
how do you expect them to ever really do it? And a lot of people start up these companies and then they just automatically take themselves out of the truck. And I mean, it might work for some people, but at the end of the day, a lot of these people, that's not going to happen that way.
yeah,
And you've got to figure out what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you. And don't be scared to fucking fail.
yes,
Don't ever be scared to fail, because that's where you're going to learn. I literally spent it's 2024. So I literally spent almost 3 years or 4 years by myself learning every aspect of this pressure washing business before I ever really even started hiring. This last year is when I started hiring.
yeah.
And we actually just started going, or actually just went W-2.
Heck yeah.
But I mean, it takes time. Don't ever think that you're behind just because you might see Joe over here doing really fucking good and Bob doing really good, and you're not really doing that great. You're having some bad months or, whatever. Just be consistent.
Yes.
Don't give up, because
Oh
that's
man,
what it wants you to do, is to give up.
that's exactly right. But dude, you're like, that's exactly it, because you hit the nail on the head, man, because it's easy to look at fake book, right? I always call it fake book because you see the highlight reel, you see the nice trucks, you see all the thing, but you don't see the system. You don't see, what's really going on. They might be looking like they're doing good, but at the end of the day, they're not making any money, right? EBITDA.
Right.
And
Right.
so you really got, every situation's different, but you just got to go and you got to seek failure,
Yeah.
because you got to get uncomfortable with yourself, because that will force you to grow.
And another thing is, you know, if you're just starting out, don't take every paycheck and every job and think that that's what you're making. How I've really been able to scale my company is I am single. I don't have kids. I don't have anything like that. So at the end of the day, I don't really have a lot of overhead when it comes to like people at the house. It's just myself and then my farm animals and taking care of things like that.
Mm,
But put everything that you can possibly put back into your brand. And that's how you're really going to be able to scale, is eating bare minimum. So as long as my bills are paid, I don't really care about having much extra. As long as my goats and my animals have food and stuff like that, and I can take them to the vet whenever they need, I'm good. I might go out here and there or whatever, but at the same time, I'm mostly just go to work, come home, repeat. Go to
yeah.
work, come home, repeat. But I'm in bed usually by 9 p.m. Tonight, I probably won't be in bed by 9 p.m.
My bad.
I'm usually in bed by 9 p.m. I'm up anywhere from 2:45 to 4 a.m. I'm at the gym by 5 a.m. I do not talk to anybody until 8 a.m. And then from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., the only person that I really even talk to is my VA, which is my office staff. And she's turning around and communicating with phone calls that come through so that I don't have to talk to customers
Yeah.
unless I'm going to you face to face or I need to talk to you on the phone to turn around and close the deal.
Dude, and I have a saying, right? And it goes like this: live like nobody else, so someday you can live like nobody else. And
Right.
that's the reality of it, man. Like you gotta have your routine, put in the grind, stay focused, right? Mentally, physically, because you need it all. Like freaking entrepreneurship, or if you're, we got salespeople on this call, we got team members on this call. Like we're mentally slaying the dragons every day. We
Yep.
get it, right? We've done it. We're doing it. And so you have to be, I always say, like, entrepreneurs are freaking athletes. You got to treat your body like that so you can lead like that. You got to show up for your team even when you don't feel like it. And you do an amazing job with that, right? It's like,
I'm out every single day. I mean, I tell my guys at the end of the day, I can do everything that you're doing, and I'm not telling you to do something that I can't do or I haven't done.
yes.
And I like for guys to be able to take I can't. I'm dyslexic as shit, but
Same.
whatever the criticism or whatever, it's
Yeah.
constructive criticism. If you can't take constructive criticism from somebody or whatever, and you take everything to heart that they're saying, you've already fucking failed. You've got to be able to learn from other people, and at the same time, as a business owner, you need to turn around and take initiative from like your employees. Your employees might have a great fucking idea, and
Yeah.
take that idea and implement that into your system, because at the end of the day, now you've showed that employee that you actually care about them. You don't want to treat them as like just fucking pets on the fucking side of the road that you're just fucking trying to fucking grab and just take somewhere. Like treat them as family and fucking invest into them the same thing as you was investing yourself.
Yes. And that's it, man, because they're the front runners. At the end of the day, it's just you, right? If you don't have a team and you treat them like garbage, it's insane. Some of the things, you know what I mean? And back in the day, you know what I mean? Like I look at my bosses, and I had some really good bosses, I had some bad bosses, but I'll never forget, dude. I was working at Eddie's Auto Repair, and I was sitting and I'm pumping gas. And I would go there because my foster brother was changing oil, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna work at the gas pump. And so this is up in New York. So we had to like full service, pump the gas, check the oil, you know, put the Eddie's Auto Repair license plate frame on there. And so I'm sitting there, man. It's cold. We're in New York. I got my hands in my pocket. I got one of those like zip up kind of hoodie things.
Yeah.
And I'm like waiting for the next customer. And Eddie comes in, dude. And he's the funniest guy you'll ever meet. He's like, Pat. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, sir, I'm waiting for the next oil change. I'm ready to go, baby. He's like, no. He's like, put your hands up in the air. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I literally put my hands up in the air. He takes the stapler off the freaking desk. He staples both of my pockets straight up. And he's like, dude, and this is a lesson that I teach my team now, but he stapled my pockets. He's like, look, he's like, I know you, Pat. You're a hard worker. You're a hustler, but people see you standing there. And I was like, oh, crap. You're like, he's like, I don't care if you're not doing anything. Look busy. Sweep the floor, 100 times if you need to. Look busy, because that's your reputation. That's your work ethic. And I was like, holy crap. So I teach people that. I haven't stapled anybody's pockets yet, but I tell them the story,
Yeah, one of my biggest things is I don't want to see you just standing around. You need to be paying attention to everything that's happening, because that's how you're going to grow in that company. Don't just think because you got hired on in one position, that's where you're going to stay. You may end up being golden in something else that pays a hell of a lot more.
Exactly.
So never, ever settle, never, ever get comfortable. And no matter what you're doing, always strive to be better and to find your best potential.
Yes.
And
no better time than now, right? Like I got the sign right here, right? You can't deposit excuses.
No, fuck your excuses.
Exactly. We don't hear that garbage. Get up and do it, right?
Nobody's gonna come save you either. I mean, at the end of the day, you're the only one who's stopping yourself, because you're the one who's manifesting these thoughts inside of your brain, and then you're the only one who's believing it.
Yes.
While everybody else is probably out here actually believing in you, and you're like, oh no, they're not. I just need to stop.
Exactly. So I want to pivot a little bit now, because we're talking about mindset, we're talking about sales. So like I was saying, we got salespeople on here, we got business owners that are wanting to get in and get some larger contracts. So, when you're jumping into sales and you're getting into commercial and stuff, what does that look like for you? For somebody, not necessarily just starting out, but thinking big picture.
Like, what do you mean by that?
So, with residential sales, don't get me wrong, it's good. That's your money, right? But some people are solely commercial, and I know you do a lot of like new construction.
90% commercial.
Yeah. So like, what does that look like for you? Kind of, where do you start? How do you build those relationships?
How I originally started is doing anything and everything, but I narrowed it down to actually what I was best at and where I thrived the most at. But in commercial, it's a lot harder. That's why a lot of people get get destruct or whatever from actually going after it and get defeated. I have to have a lot of point of contacts. You have to build actual relationships with commercial accounts. Where residential, they're hitting you up. They want that job done right then and there. When it comes to commercial, a lot of times they're not even thinking about pressure washing or anything like that. So when I'm saying you've actually got to have a point of contact, you've got to like constantly be following up with them in some way or another, having a way for them to remember you. Me having the brand that I have, just the name alone, Wet and Wild, I walk in there and I'm like, hey, I'm Wet and Wild pressure washing. I came up here to see if maybe you've ever had anybody offer you pressure washing or anything like that. And most of the time they'll say no.
Yeah.
And then that's when I just start spilling about who we are, what we can offer, things like that. I'm not really trying to close them right then and there. I may give them something that lets them know who we are, like a card or something. They can go and look up our website, whatever it may be. But then if they do not turn around and reach back out to me, then I'm going to turn around and go back to that same facility, and I may talk to that same person or talk to somebody else in there, but I'm following back up with them. And at some point or another, they're going to need our service. And by me doing that, they're going to reach back out. Some people don't reach out for a couple years. Like I had a gentleman not long ago reach out to me, and he had met me 3 years ago on a project. And he said, man, I told you I'd turn around and call you. Well, that man called me with an 1,800 acre fucking property that he wants pressure washed on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's just how it goes. So, I mean, you just can't get struck with going after these things. And it's a lot harder with actually finding the point of contact, because the point of contact usually is hidden a little bit harder. Yeah. Where that homeowner is that homeowner. So you're having that contact right then and there. But I just have more problems when it comes to residential. So we just choose not to focus on residential.
Yeah.
Where commercial, we don't see anybody.
I know. I love commercial for that reason. It's like, oh, you're done. I trust you.
I love post-construction. That literally post-construction is my cup of tea. That is where I thrive at the most all day long, because I'm just dealing with a builder. Yeah. And, I'm not dealing with a homeowner. I'm not dealing with all these residents and there's nobody there. They're building, we're coming in and cleaning, and then the residents come in.
Yes. But would you say too, commercial is the long game, right? Yeah. Like
you gotta have a little bit of both. I wouldn't just focus on just residential unless, there are some companies out there that probably do over $1 million or whatever a year and just have residential trucks out there. But I would say if you're really wanting to stay busy all year round and not seasonal, then you need to build up commercial, because honestly, I keep my trucks rolling 12 months a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I always tell people, like, look at their area. So, if you're in a sales position, right, like, it's easy to do. If you're going from appointment to appointment, whether you're starting at residential, you can start, going to small or commercial and then build your commercial portfolio.
It takes a lot of time. So I started off by myself, and the hardest thing I can tell you right now is if you're out there by yourself and you're pressure washing, you're always going to have this hiccup or this dead spot of not having no jobs. And the reason is because you're not constantly out there hunting. Now that I've hired, now I can hunt more.
Yeah.
So now I'm landing a lot more.
That's right.
And I'm actually able to go water my seeds that I constantly put out in different places and following up with them a lot faster than what I normally would. And that's helping me out too. So at the end of the day, you need to get to a point where you can turn around and start hiring to fire yourself out of those positions, where you can start focusing on the actual bigger pieces to come in, because you don't need to be doing every damn thing. Not every damn thing. Some things are way too low on the payroll for you to be constantly doing, and that's why you're constantly having problems, because you're not wanting to allow other people to come on board, because you're constantly thinking in your head you don't have the money. And that's how I was. I mean, I'm making $200,000+ and I'm over here like, nah, I really can't hire nobody. And it's like, nah, you're thinking the wrong damn way. So it's like you're going to eventually plateau. And I might have made a little bit more than that and still running by myself, but I probably would have plateaued out at some point. So you've got to hire those people so that you can turn around and go to another level, because you need to turn around and take yourself out of that truck and start focusing on the sales. And then once you start focusing on the sales, then you start hiring sales reps the same way that you did field techs and other things like that.
Yeah, that's so key. It's so key to hire, put people in place. And like, I promise if you put people in place, the money will come, because we all go through those stages. Like, we don't just build $1 million company, you know, it's like we go through all those fear things. You know, when I hired our first office lady, I'm like, how are we going to pay her? And it was only $650 a week.
Right.
And I'm like, get my wife out of the office. How are we going to do that? Right. But when we did, we grew 30%. And exactly what you just said freed me up to go water my seeds. Right now, my follow-up game's on point. Then I'm like, ooh, I'm onto something. Let's replace me, but not necessarily replace. Now it's me and a sales guy. Then we started putting the second truck on the road, then the third truck, then I got another one. And so you just repeat that process. But
you just keep repeating it over and over and over until you actually got all the puzzles, and then you start repeating those until you've got like more people or whatever. However you want to do it. That's what I love about pressure washing. You can damn just have a side job, or you can fucking go to millions.
That's right.
It's all where your mindset is and where you can push yourself.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. And it's all, you know, your leadership, right? Like, as you grow and you want whatever you want, and it's up to you. Right?
If you're not a good leader, then you're not going to have a good team. It's really about you building yourself up to be a good leader. And if you are or not, some people just aren't. Some people should just have 9-to-5 jobs, and they constantly beat at this hole thinking that they should damn be an owner. And it's like, no. And then you've got a lot of companies out here that constantly feel like they're competition. And it's like, well, if some of them would actually join together and not fucking think each other of competition, then it would actually work well too. And that's kind of how me and Richard came along with working with each other. Richard was doing his thing. I just ran into a spot where somebody didn't want to show up to work, and I hit him up, or actually I made a post and he ended up hitting me up, and he was like, hey man, I'll come. I'm up here in that area. I don't live far from there. And that man showed up, and by the end of the day, we're sitting here brainstorming with each other, like, how can he turn around and come on to Wet and Wild and basically be here? And how can I turn around and get more jobs to keep him more busy? Yeah. And he still does his own thing, kind of with his company a little bit on the side, just to, you know, just because that's what he wants to do. But at the same time, his main focus is Wet and Wild, and he's in a truck. He has a truck that he takes home, and he goes out and does it. All the jobs that, you know, I put on the system and have him go do. Me and him go out there and work together. Yeah. And it's a great relationship that we have with each other. Me and him went to the convention with each other and spent the weekend.
That's what's up.
So you gotta feed into your employees and stuff like that. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not here to be your friend, but at the same time, I'm here to be a leader, and I'm here to be an example and to show you the right ways and how to do everything that I can do. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I want you to help my company grow. Yeah. So if I want you to help my company grow, then I need to turn around and show you everything that I can do. Yeah.
Building leaders, man. That's what it's all about. Is building leaders, and everybody's going to rise. You know, I want everybody to be successful, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to bring up the market. You know what I mean? Bring people together. I can't tell you how many times, you know, I've had competitors, and I say competitors in a loving way, because all of us, we love, you know what I mean? Love working together, and we pass work off. When we get $150,000 apartment complexes, I'm like, all right, well, residential, here you go. You give it to your competition, because that's the way it works. And then when you get a big job and they can't handle it, guess what? They'll like, call Pat.
Bro, I can't tell you how many times I get a phone call from somebody or whatever, and they're like, hey, Nick, you want to team up with this? Or Nick, can you go take care of this? Yeah. Because they know that I'm not just going to go out here and bullshit. I'm not going to give some bullshit job. I'm not out here to take your work. I'm not doing none of that, because at the end of the day, I'm in here for the same damn reason, and that's to get that job clean, to make it shine, and to go on to the next.
That's it. That's it.
I don't care if I talk to that person or not. I'm just there to clean and to collect money and to leave.
Yep. People do. I mean, they get, so it's that mentality, right? Is like, and I'm trying to think exactly of the word, but you know, they're thinking is small-minded, scarcity mindset, and they're like, man, there's so much competition in there. But look at like McDonald's, you look at CVS, they're on every corner. You're just wanting your piece of the pie. Like, we're all doing the same thing. Work is out there.
That's why I say that, you know, as many companies as there is, there's still so many places that are dirty. So why are we arguing about who's got what and what's got what? And at the end of the day, you are you, I am me. I'll never be you. You'll never be me. I have ideal customers. You have ideal customers. What the fuck?
Okay.
Like, if you're turning around and thinking that every customer is your customer, they're fucking not. And that's the reason that you have the problems that you do, is because you haven't zoned in on your ideal customers that you have the less problems with, that actually enjoy your company, enjoy who you are, like you and trust you, and will go out and spread the word to fucking everybody else. But you're so zoned into wanting to have this job and that job and this job and that job in this area and that area.
Yeah. And they will pay more money.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, all the time.
When people always hit me up and they're like, well, what's the price for this? And I'm like, well, what's it for you? Because that's what I'm giving the price at. And if they say yes, then we're doing the job. If they say no, I'm going on to the next.
That's right. Yeah. And I get it. You know, some people are like, in the beginning, you take everything on. But if you start there, right, you start like when you go to Apex, like for me, you know what I mean? It was AC Lockyer, it was Conquer, it was all these programs, right? We got Ron Musgraves on here with commercial. And like when you get into there and you charge and you figure out, you know, your line and you get your niche market, like, you know, with you, new construction, right? You're like, that's my bread and butter. Go after it. And then it's like cookie cutter, boom, boom, boom. And then you start stacking the dough because you really honed in, you stayed in your lane instead of trying to do everything and be everybody to everyone. It's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah, we're actually being very consistent right now. We're having 30,000 plus months, which I feel like is really good for us.
Yeah.
Because it's just been like a roller coaster, like I said, because I was doing this shit where I was constantly in the truck all the time by myself, might bring somebody out to that job to help, but then I'm answering phone calls and doing all that. And then it gets to a point where it's like, you either get the job done or you answer the phone. And I much rather get the job done than answer the phone, and I'm going to call you back. But then I've done lost that fucking job.
Exactly.
Or I forgot because I'm so damn tired.
That's it.
So that's where I got into actually buying the equipment that I buy from High-Low Solutions. We bought the Zero Turn because there for a while I was by myself out here cleaning fucking 60,000 plus square feet of
your hands like going like this, you know.
Dude, my hands hurt, my feet hurt. I'm sitting there talking to God the whole time, like, please show me something that is better. And then I happen to run into Mike at huge convention, and I see this tractor and I see this lawnmower, and I'm like, oh shit, that's what I need. So I go over and start talking to him, and I tell him that I'm doing some of this work, and he's like, man, I would go ahead and invest into this, you know, if you're already starting to do that work. And I said, well, it's just not enough to do it. And then the following year, he hit me up because he was doing a demo on a truck that he was selling to somebody from Kentucky. And I went out there and I ended up sitting on it. He ended up showing me different things. And then I tried out the 34 gallons per minute with just the ball valve. And I was like, I'm sold.
Dude, demo sell.
I went back home in that next apron. I was like, nope. I was like, I'm going to go get this truck and everything. So I ended up dropping money on that at the end of the year and having that all built out. And literally that's been the best investment ever, man, because not only can you clean concrete, but you can clean asphalt.
I know. I saw you doing that. I was like, that opens up a whole can of worms.
Dude, that's more money. You know why? because they were turning around and having water trucks that they were renting and paying day laborers to turn around and run that. So they had the fee from the water truck, they had the fee from the laborers, and it would take 4, 5, or 6 guys out there at $200 and $300 a day
for weeks.
Yeah, and they're like, no brainer, dude, run that lawnmower around here. And once they saw how clean it got it, they were like, yeah, nah, you're good. You're cleaning all the parking lots now. Line stripers love us.
Yeah.
They love us. They said they've never seen an asphalt parking lot so damn spick and span ever.
Yep. Yeah. Dude, we did, when we started doing new construction, we started doing that, and we gave them 3 different levels of clean. So, because they would, sometimes they just want it like rinse, power rinse. So we had, and I had
that's
3
where my
different
confusion is when I talk to people, is I always think they want it spick and span. And like you just said, they have different things that they want.
They do. And so I found out the hard way, right? Because, and again, learning those lessons, it was like, oh, you wanted it. Okay, well, and then we had our, 10 cents a square foot, 20, and then we went to 40 cents a square foot if they wanted it this clean,
right?
Because it takes more time and effort, right? And so with that option, you can give them that, but you have to learn, right? Like the different levels, and then you level up every time.
Oh yeah. That's why I say take those failures, take those lessons, and analyze on why they happened the way that they did, and turn around and go at it again.
Exactly. Yep. So we're basically right up on time. I try to keep these things about 40, 45 minutes. That way you can listen to it working out, on the way to a job. And so with that being said, I want to kind of land the plane here and kind of hone in, if you will, what we talked about, recapping on sales, equipment to be more efficient, and then mindset was huge. I think, especially with your story, breaking through there, getting some, knowledge on systemizing your business. So what are some, I would say 1 or 2 action items for folks to take, in the next coming weeks that they can do that really interjects in their business? And I know you talked about systems and, focus on maybe the one thing and looking from the outside in on their business. But, 2 things from you that they can kind of, hone in on the next week or 2.
Couple things that I would probably do is readjust your profile, like your business or your personal page, to not look like a personal page and to look more business. And then another thing is that would help you out a lot is utilize your actual personal page and tag your business page on everything. And if you want examples of all of that, just go on to my personal page and see how I run my stuff. I'm constantly tagging my business from my personal. By doing that, I'm combining both audience onto that one post, onto my personal. Another thing that you need to do is just be very consistent on your posting. Don't stop on it. Another thing is that I could give you is don't oversaturate your audience with just pressure washing. You need to have at least 2 or 3 different categories of things that you talk about on a regular basis. And you need to be making anywhere from 2 to 4 posts a day throughout the day on those different things. So like my things are motivation, being at the gym, maybe some goats here and there, and then pressure washing. Some days I might a little oversaturate it with pressure washing and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm kind of giving them a variety of different things because I want to build out that audience for a wide variety of different things, not just one base, because everybody needs pressure washing.
They're like, wait, Nick, you got a life? You're not like just pressure washing all the time.
No, I raise goats and I go to the gym.
That's awesome.
And ride my mountain bike.
Yes. Love it, man. But no, that's huge for you guys to take care, of your page, your personal brand, because at the end of the day, you said it best, dude. They're buying from whom they like and trust, and that's you. And you got to be authentic, because a lot of people see all the fake garbage online. They see the AI, right? And so you just got to be you, and they will buy from you. And like you said, it's the long game.
Yeah, because I mean, I pull up in the trucks that we do sometimes to go bid jobs, And sometimes people say, oh, you're too expensive. So what I say by that is people aren't really buying your equipment. They're not buying none of the shit. They're buying you. Yeah. They want to hear that you are confident in what you can do, that you say, yes, I can clean that. And then you listening to their problems and solving it. That's all you got to do. And not give them another fucking problem by lying and saying that you can and you can't.
That's a good way to lose a big account.
Man, I had a guy do that. That's a whole nother conversation, but that landed us fucking 32.
Dude, we could probably just have a podcast on like that, right? People showing up or like, hey, can you clean this 2-story building? Yeah, and not show up with a ladder or a lift or anything.
Bro.
I know. We could go on all that. I know.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate you being on, Nick. It's a pleasure. Our audience, dude, here at Community with Closers, appreciate you, dude. Where can they reach out to you? Because you got some awesome stuff going on.
Actually, if anybody ever wants to get on my podcast, I've got the Under Pressure show. I could share the link with anybody if they want. It's called the underpressurepodcast.com is the website. If you ever just want to go listen to any of that. If you just want to go onto my personal page, it's spelled out the same way that it is on here, Nic Staton. That's pretty much where you could really find me. It's just on Facebook. I'm always on there posting a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Perfect, man. Well, we appreciate you, dude. Thanks for being on. And man, I know I got you up late here, so got to get you to bed.
Yep, I'm about to go pass out. Y'all be good. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, man. Take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in right here, Community with Closers, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Take care.
Peace.